Hello, everybody. It's Marcy from wavesofcommunication.com, and I'm so happy to welcome you to this live video. Just like all of them, they're special. I always say this is a special live video because I have important information. It's all important because it's designed for you. And today, it's even more important because today I'm sharing information that I received from parents. And I think it's important to share because just listening to me tell you about language facilitation and how it works and all of that is one way to benefit from my, information. But another way to benefit, and I think, I'm sort of sharing this information, is from learning from other parents. And in my Waves of Communication community, for the people who I work with, I have mechanisms set up that allows parents to benefit from the coaching I give to other parents, because a lot of parents have similar situations. And this video today is kind of a celebration and information video because I'm going to use the information that I've received from people who have followed my platform. Some of this information is from people who I work with in my programs, but only one of the stories I'm going to share with you is actually from my client. The other 5 people who have shared their stories with me, their success stories with language facilitation, they are people who have learned about it from watching my YouTube videos. A couple of them purchased my independent study course on my platform, on my website. And a couple of them just read my book and watched videos on YouTube. So all of these success stories, these are the top. And listen, this is just the icing on the cake. I receive testimonials every single day from parents who are making changes in their life and literally seeing new lives. They're improving their lives from the language facilitation strategies that they incorporate into their household. So what I wanted to do today is to share the top 6 of these that I noticed this year as I watched, because the one thing that I do know about the people who do well on my platform are the ones that watch more than one video. They're the families who follow me week after week, month after month, excuse me, sometimes year after year. And most of the people, in fact, all of the people I'm going to talk about today, I have seen them pop up on commenting on videos to the point where they're sending me emails, and I've even had calls with a few of them, because that's how I learn about what is best for my platform, is by reaching out and connecting with the people I'm trying to help. If I was just talking about what came to me, it wouldn't be so helpful. It's important for me to solve the problems of the people in the world that I'm reaching out to across the world. And so this video, I want to share these stories with you so that you can see how you, maybe if you can relate to one of these 6 families, and these are 6 different scenarios, excuse me. There's 6 different scenarios that I have set up that I think address the most common big issue that causes parents to reach out and look for the kind of help that I provide. And so if this is the first time you're watching me, you'll learn how you can benefit from language facilitation. And if you have been watching me for a while, maybe you can take, a lesson from one of these parents to learn what they did to help get their life turned around, literally, with language facilitation. All right, let's get into it. Enough rambling. I just am so very proud of these parents, okay? So the first one I'm going to talk to you about is Danny K, who is in Australia. And Danny is one of my clients, and she has followed me for a really long time before she enrolled in my program. And language facilitation has helped her because language facilitation empowers parents to protect their late talkers from uninformed judgment and misdiagnosis. This is something that almost every parent, if not every single parent who has a child who is late talking in your life, they deal with this, because people who don't understand about your child, they will pass judgment on them. Whether you like it or not, it's going to happen. And so here's what Danny says. She says, "I love you, Marcy, and I love you too, Danny. Your videos literally changed my life." And so how could they change your life? Reading this, watching this with me. "I feel totally secure and free of worry now that I fully understand what has been blocking my child's speech development. I feel like I can engage with my kid in public with confidence. You have given me an armor to protect him from false labeling." Okay, and that's what Danny says in Australia. And Danny's story is really important because I think this is a very, very common story. Lots and lots of parents are judged by your child's behavior, and your child is judged by their behavior. And parents like Danny learned from my videos that all behavior is communication. And when you understand the messages that your child is communicating with their behaviors, and you learn how to turn that into the spoken language that they're capable of, and you learn that they're capable of doing that, you learn it through the process of becoming a language facilitator by getting in your child's zone, understanding what the messages mean, and teaching them how to use words. That's what language facilitation is about. So if you're struggling with people judging you because you don't understand, why is my child doing this behavior, then language facilitation will help you change your life, because you will start to understand your child using the strategies on my platform. And when you understand the root blockages, whether it's physiological, environmental, or emotional and habitual habits, these are the things that primarily block a child's speech. And when you understand in your particular individual family's case what is blocking, then you're gonna make changes, because nobody wants to keep doing once the problem becomes aware to you. And the big issue, and it was the issue for Danny, and it's the issue for most of the other parents, is you're not aware. Because once you become aware, you automatically make the changes you need to learn how to fix it. But if you don't understand that there is even a problem, or what the problem specifically is, how can you take the right action? Then you guess and you try things, and that's when you fail, and you think that it's a problem you can't solve. And Danny learned that it is a problem she can solve through language facilitation, and that's why she is a huge success story. Now, Danny watched videos, she read my book, she even took the independent study program, and then finally she logged on to join me as a client, because she got to the point where she really wanted to truly understand her child. And that's what I am able to do with my intuitive speech pathology situation going on, and my history and my experience, 30 years of working with families with late talking kids. I know it when I see it. I know how to call out the habits that are blocking that stuff. And that's how I helped Danny literally get her kiddo in 2 weeks' time using spoken language that he never used before. Okay. All right, let's move on to the next family that I want to talk about. And this is Laura G. Laura G's in the UK. And she found waves of communication because she was frustrated that the therapist wasn't teaching her child to talk. So language facilitation focuses on the spoken language, the actual speech, talking, right, that parents want. And what happened to Laura in the UK was she took her daughter to a speech therapist because I thought that they would be teaching her how to talk. She's a late talker. So she took her to the speech therapist. But then the speech therapist gave her a picture system. So here's what Laura said. When they gave us the PECS picture system, I was disappointed, which is why she got on the Google machine and started searching for waves of communication. And she says, which is why I'm so happy I came across your book, which led me to your videos on YouTube. So she went to Amazon to try to find something to help her because her speech therapist wasn't helping her. The person she was investing in, her time, energy, and money, wanted to give her a picture system and not speech. So here's how it turned out for Laura. You have taught me with language facilitation, right, how to help my daughter develop her speech through language facilitation, and using your strategies has developed her speech so quickly, right? Thank you so much, Marcy. She's got all the loves and hugs and all of that stuff and Laura has practically turned into an ambassador for language facilitation. She loves working with kids, and she's decided to homeschool her child. Her child was being labeled at school, and they were trying to use the pictures with her in the school, and the therapist was talking to the school, and they were all trying to push these pictures on her child. And the whole reason she had her in the daycare in the first place was because she wanted her to actually get exposure to kids talking and be around other kids, because she's a single mom and she was home with her little one. And, one of the advices she received was enroll her child in a preschool where there are other kids talking. And it's a great advice, except for what happened at the preschool is the same thing that happened to Danny. Her child started to get labeled because she was using behaviors. She was walking on her toes. She flapped her hands a little bit. She isolated herself away from other kids. And so the school started to want to label her daughter, and she didn't want any part of that. And they started to isolate her from the other kids. And the whole reason that she'd sent her child to the school was so that she could be around other kids. But that school didn't know how to handle her. So Laura learned, she went on and she read my book, and she decided to start to work with her daughter at home. And she started to see more improvement with her daughter at home than the school was finding, because again, like I said, the school was isolating her away from other kids, and Laura wanted her to be around other kids. So I showed Laura how to play with kids at the park. And this was back before COVID. It was probably about a year ago now, last fall. And she started to go to the library and shops and things like that, and start to get her child to interact even with her folks who she lives with. And then she started to come out of her shell and share all this speech that was inside of her, but the school wasn't allowing her. It wasn't the right environment. The school was actually an environmental blockage for Laura. But she realized what that was, what was going on, and she learned how to provide her child with the spoken language models that she needed, that she was missing. And then after COVID started and she couldn't go out to those places anymore, Laura learned how to expand through pretend play and all different kinds of things with her daughter to help her learn how to shift the language that they learned when they were on the outside, that she'd heard at school and all these other places, how to use that language functionally with language facilitation. And her daughter, because they're not native English speakers, their English is their second language in their household, at least mom and her parents were. And this little girl started speaking spontaneously, speaking both English, where they live in the UK, and Turkish, their home language that grandma and grandpa were using, because they learned it at the same time. Just like kids all over the world learn multiple foreign languages. They learn their mother tongue, the one their mom speaks to them. And then they also learn other languages that are spoken in their household or their community. This is very common in the middle of the country over here. Not so much in the US or Australia, because almost everybody speaks English in those places. But in the middle of the world, in between those places, you can go 50 kilometers or even next door in India, and people are speaking a different language. So it behooves you to understand how to teach your child multiple languages, and that's what Laura did. She just learned to keep expanding and expanding and expanding her language facilitation through the video. So she took the independent study course and read the book, and she never needed to work with me because she learned how to expand it all, and then she would send me videos periodically or little notes because, like I said, these parents let me know how they're doing through their emails and testimonials because they're so excited that language facilitation finally works. And, they feel like that's the other thing. Some parents feel like they waste time, like they're wasting time in their speech therapy or their school if it's not working out for them. No time is wasted. Laura learned that too from talking to me. We did a podcast together, actually, and she learned that it's not about blaming anybody else for not teaching your kid or not doing it the right way or not doing it the language facilitation or the natural way, or trying to change those other people and how they will work with your child. Laura learned from the first moment where she was like, I don't like that school. I'm going to go find my own book and learn my own way, right? She learned from the very beginning to accept responsibility for the process to teach her child when the school was falling short, instead of trying to waste her energy on trying to change a whole format. But parents get in that trap. They fall in that trap, and Laura had done it. She was trying to, as soon as she started watching my videos, they take these videos over and try to make the school change and turn it. You're not going to be successful that way. The best way you be successful is take responsibility for yourself and what you do in your house and focus all your energy on you. And when those other people in the world see your child, this is what happened to Laura's little girl. When people started to see her use the language that mama taught her at home, then they started to offer her more opportunities and change her classrooms. And that is happening for all the parents in the program. Let's move on to the next one so you can see how it worked for somebody else. All right, so this is family number 3, and this is Terry from the USA, and this is exactly what I was talking about happened to Laura. Her little guy is older. He's 8-year-old, and he has big challenges. He has some physiological, neurological challenges that have caused him to be a late walker. He's been with a lot of health challenges where he's been in the hospital and had to have medical procedures, and big challenges that have caused him to be late talking. And language facilitation, and I have learned this from the parents like Terry, it works for even kids with super big challenges to their natural talking. And what happens a lot is parents get off the path of natural learning because they have their kids in so many therapies that they do a lot of all of these therapy, and they forget about that responsibility of teaching their kids at home. And so what Terry says is it was language facilitation that helped to reorganize my brain in a way to actually help my son. She says he is starting to speak clearly at 8, clearly speak at 8 years old. So late talking doesn't mean, it just means not talking yet, right? And when you start language facilitation, you trigger the process to get started. So whenever you start is whenever it's going to happen, whether your child is 2, 8, or 22, okay, or anywhere in between. So listen, what else she says, he's doing a lot more initiating of pretend play, which he never did before. He's trying to learn more skills at home where he was before relying, because kids with big challenges, they get in the habits of relying their parents to do everything for them. If you have a child who has big challenges, seizures, way prematurity, heart conditions, genetic chromosomal disorders, things like that really cause them to have a lot of physical challenges, you need to understand language facilitation can help you, like it helped Terry, changed her life, right? Because they know, look, she says he's learning more skills at home and they still have a lot of work on, obviously, because he has big challenges. but at least we know how to work together now. And they're not fighting over you do it for me and I want you to learn how and all of those things that parents struggle with. He is still in therapies, of course, because he has big challenges and they work with him, which they're gonna do. But Marcy's program helped teach me how to work with him at home so she could own that responsibility and do what she has. And look what she says. He is happily doing many things now that we never believed he would ever be able to do. And this is how it changes your life, right? Because Terry learned that when she dug in with her kiddo, figured out what was blocking the process, and took it step by step to do what she knew she could, and to offer her child things that she knew he could do, things that he was interested in, things that he would be curious about. And she let it go and observed and watched and learned about him instead of trying to direct his life through this is how we do things, because that's what happens when you have kids with a lot of big challenges. Parents fall in the habit of they need me to do everything for them because they can't, right? And you don't want them to fail, so you just do for them. It happens with language because you guess their messages and just respond to those messages. That's what happens almost always with parents of late talking, no matter why the child is late talking. You don't want your child to suffer for their lack of speech, so you talk for them, you think for them, you read their mind and guess what they want. We do all of those things, and that's what Terry was doing. And when her child didn't make faster progress, she just assumed it was because of this physical condition he had, because the therapist would say, well, he has this physical condition and, it just is what it is. But Terry didn't believe that because she could see the spark in her little guy. She could see where beyond the labels and the reports and the therapies where the, stagnant process. I mean, when kids get to be 8, things slow down because it's not new stuff. The kids get tired of the same old, but they don't make fast progress with it. And so because it gets boring, sometimes things wear out with kids. And by 7, 8 years old, a lot of times those old behavior things that were reward based, they wear out. And then parents are stuck. What do I do now? Because the therapy says, we're just going to dismiss you because you're not making progress anymore. And then a parent is stuck at home with a kid who is aging more every day. And you're thinking about it. You are. Just what Terry was. Oh my goodness, here's my child who's 8. She literally said they had come to grips even years before when he was 5 or 6 years old. There's just going to be things our boy's not going to be able to do. He's just never going to be able to do those things. And here he is 2 years later doing stuff that they never imagined he would be doing independently on his own. He's humming and singing and spontaneously talking and doing things for himself that this mama had sort of succumbed to. I'm going to have to do stuff for my kid forever. But when you facilitate spoken language and you learn how to do that, you also learn how to facilitate other life skills. You learn how to facilitate walking and personal care and social skills, because language is involved with everything we do. And this is how Terry changed her life. Literally shifted the trajectory of her child's future with language facilitation, because instead of looking through the lens of, oh, well, it is what it is, there's nothing I can do, she looked through the lens of, where are the blockages? What can I do? Because, maybe I can't do those things that they said I can't do, but there's got to be something else. And she did what Laura did and Danny did and these other parents are doing every day, what you're doing right now. Started watching videos on YouTube and started to try these strategies at home and see what was going on. And she bought the book and she enrolled in the Lifetime, or not in the Lifetime program, in the online program. And she's literally joining my Facebook Live. She's probably out there. Hi, Terry. I'm going to say hi to all these moms. And I have to tell you, sharing the energy of their success is really what motivates me to keep doing these videos for the rest of you. Because I know that for every one of these folks that I'm talking about right now, every one of these families, there are other families all over the world. Every one of these places that's lit up. There are families that struggle with late talking kids. 1 in 8 kids is late talking. I know you're out there. I know you need this stuff. And I know you can do what Terry and Danny and Laura have done. So let's talk about the next one. All right. So challenging kids, check. Works for you. Kids who are labeled or mislabeled, or you don't want your kids labeled and you want to figure out how to do it yourself, check, right? Because that worked for Laura and Danny. Let's find out the next parent and how they use language facilitation to help them. So Lisa P., who's up in Canada, has a late talker who was stuck at single words and only saying single words for labeling things, probably half in English, half in French, because she says she's doing language facilitation in French. She says, I learned so many strategies in your videos and, of course, your great book. I must say many people around me did not really believe it would work. It does take time, work, and commitment, but it's crazy how many times my twins talked with full sentences after your strategies. And that's what Lisa P. in Canada says. And so I don't even know Lisa. She bought my book, so I don't have any contact with her. She didn't buy my program. She has only used the book. Here's the book, by the way. It's called If It Isn't Fun, It Isn't Fun. Teach Your Child to Talk Faster Than Therapy. It's available on Amazon all over the world, okay? And this is the book I'm talking about when I'm talking about what these parents use. This book, it's available on Kindle, Audible. Like I said, check out. It's short little book. Just a step-by-step process to teach you how to uncover these blockages and teach your kids to talk. And Lisa found, even though people in her world, so this is one of the things that I know is happening to the parents out there. You watch my videos. Maybe you've seen a bunch of them. Maybe you've been following me for a while. Maybe you even read my book. But the people around you, maybe even the people in your household, maybe they don't even believe that language facilitation can work because they read an article somewhere, or maybe they are a speech therapist or a psychologist or a teacher or somebody like that, and they are doubting language facilitation and natural stuff. And maybe your child's older, maybe that you were in that situation like Terry where they have big diagnoses or anything like that. And the situation for you is that every parent can benefit from language facilitation because you take your child from where they are right now to where you want to take them. You draw the map, you make the plan, you set the path, and you take the action, right? It all is about that responsibility. And the reason that these parents, all of these parents that I'm talking about today are superstars is because they did that. First, they took the responsibility when something in their world wasn't meeting their needs. All of these parents were seeing other therapists, and something was missing. And what was missing was their commitment themselves in their house to their child. At some level, they all were farming out the responsibility to a therapist, teacher, school, even a method. No, I've got to do it this way. I have to let him cry, even though you don't want him to cry because somebody told you, right? Think about times that you using the picture system that they told you that you got to use in your house, right? Like happened to Laura. It happens where outside influences want to take you off your path because it's different. It's new. I'm intuitive. I'm some crazy woo-woo lady from the internet out of US, for all those people around the world. Because remember, people all over the world are benefiting from language facilitation because there's late talkers everywhere. And it doesn't matter what language you speak, you can do it too. All right, let's move on to the next one. I got 2 more to share with you. These are so fun. I'm so glad to share all these with you. The next one, these are 2 gentlemen that are my last 2, and Antonius is in Greece. I think when I met him, he might have been in the US, but he has been spending the COVID time in Greece and communicating with me that way. And he's a single dad who has had his son adopted since birth. He's raised his son alone, and his son has an autism diagnosis. He's an older boy too, 8 or 9. And And so language facilitation helps parents learn what habits you need to change to get results, because this is how it helped Antonius. Here's what he said. Hi, Marcy. Hi. I watch your videos every morning, and this is probably a calendar year after I first connected with this gentleman. I watch your videos every morning. I tell all my son's therapists and teachers about you. Your videos help a lot, and I know now what I was doing wrong. Using your method has helped me so much. My son understands a lot more, and now he has some speech that comes naturally. So there's Antonius from Greece, who is sharing that he didn't know what to do. And just kind of like the other parents were saying, so often, especially a single parent or a parent who has maybe a child with a lot of needs, a lot of behaviors, a lot of struggles, and you still have other kids, and you're married, and you're maintaining a household, or you're working, you have other things that distract your energy. And so it is easy for parents to pay for a therapist to help them with their kids. And Antonius learned that even the time that he has at home, while he has his kiddo with him, I think with the COVID situation, he's probably been working from home, which is what happened to a lot of parents. And a lot of parents who were working out of the home and they had their kids in daycare, now their kids are home with them, and they are realizing how much they can do, even before and after your work time, if you have to go out, or while your child is home, if you have to work from the house. Teaching your child that you need space to do your work and get your things done is part of language facilitation. So if you're stuck at home, I love it. It's your best situation to facilitate language, because all you have to do is learn the process and get started today, and you can see progress whether you have therapy or not, because that's how Antonius is doing it. I think he literally took his kiddo out of the services. He might have found something over in Greece to get him going, but with COVID, most of those therapies are shut down. There's not incredibly great internet, so parents are left to figure out how to do it. Where some of the parents, before the pandemic happened, they were feeling frustration because their therapies that they were investing in weren't necessarily working, and they were looking to expand. They wanted faster progress, most of them. That's why they find me, because they want faster progress, and whatever they've been doing, therapy or not, they want to try new things. They want to do more things. And that's what Antonius did. And he did not invest in my program. I'm not sure if he even bought my book, but he watches my videos every day, and his kiddo's talking. And he's older, right? So, and he tells the therapists and all of them about my videos, but who knows if they're listening or not? He doesn't even care. But he is sharing with them what he is doing. And I think that's another point that is really helpful. So if your child is receiving therapy and you're digging in and doing language facilitation at home, it's very helpful for you to identify the specific strategies that you used that worked really well for you, and share those things that you did with your child's therapists and teachers. When you do that, then they can see what is working because you're showing it. Instead of you saying you need to do this, you just say, look, I just wanted to show you what I've been doing with my son, and just check it out. That's all you got to say, is just check it out. They will see, because if they're professionals, they're going to see what you're doing as language facilitation. I had another mom just tell me that her therapist they were in a telesession, and the mom was sitting with the child, and the child wasn't responding to the camera. So the mom, just like I coached them, she took the theme of the lesson and she started to facilitate it in her own way with her child right there. And instead of relying on the therapist to be part of that interaction, she just let her observe. And then she interacted with her child, this mom. And she noticed that the therapist paid attention very carefully to what she was doing. And her subsequent therapy online actually shifted. So the therapist did change her strategy with the child to get better engagement, because the therapist wants engagement. She doesn't want to be ignored on the camera. So, and therapists are smart. They're going to see if it works for you. They're going to try it with your kid, but they won't necessarily do it if you tell them. They may do it more if they see you. So demonstrate whatever you're trying. If it works for you, if it worked one time, keep doing it. So, you can see if it works more times. That's what the whole data is about. And then you can tell them. If it's somebody who's collecting data, you say, look, I did this 10 times in a row, and every single time he responded. And they're going to scribble that down, because that's what they need. They can collect numbers on that. And when you report what you're able to do, when you talk to the therapists, when you report what you're able to do, like Antonius did, then you get therapists who will try harder to be with your child. Therapists are smart. They're really, really good, but they're also really, really busy, and they don't know your child like you do. They just can't. So the best thing they can do, if a therapist is willing to watch you, use their idea. So say, what are we teaching today? And if they're teaching, whatever pronouns, or they give you ideas about a storybook or something like that, use your language facilitation to work on that same thing and show them how you do it. Just like they want you to do. That's what they're hoping you do, is watch and observe them while they work with your child. But if you're getting better engagement than the therapist, flip the tables and demonstrate how it works. And that's how Antonius gets more and more and more progress, because he doesn't have a coach. He uses the therapists that work with his kids and asks them questions and wants to know, should I do it this way, and what's working that way? And he tries out, just like he does with me. He sends me notes and asks me questions. And I'm like, if you want to get coaching, you can join my program. And then he goes and asks his therapists, because he uses them as resources, because he didn't go to speech therapy school. So there are good things about using the professionals in your life, as long as they're willing to teach you, because that's all I do. I used to be a therapist. Now I'm a consultant, and I teach parents because I know parents are better at it. Okay. All right. Here's the last family that I wanted to talk about. And this is Donnie. And Donnie, I know very little about his story, but he told me a really, really big story. And what he told me in his story is what he is doing to get the success. And that's why I really wanted to share it with you. So Donnie proved that language facilitation helps parents develop a plan for long-term success, okay? Danny says, I found Marcy about a year ago, and it seemed like she knew my boy without ever meeting him. And that was probably because I talk a lot about how to analyze your child, and I've analyzed so many kids that some analysis video I did showed him how to know his child even better, right? So I've been avoiding prompted speech. So that's the first thing that, if you haven't ever watched any of my videos, that's the number one thing that I tell parents to do. So Donnie's been doing it. He's been every single day working with his kiddo, avoiding prompted speech, and he has been focusing on just pouring words in. I talk about how parents are the ones to provide the language in, because everyone else is going to prompt it out of them. You don't have to prompt them at all. You focus on pouring words in. I talk about that all the time. And here's the most important thing, and that's why I bolded it. Danny focuses on being content with knowing that his boy is hearing modeled speech, accurate, good, modeled speech that he is interested in, because he pays attention if he's listening. And so here's what happened. 2 days ago on his birthday, right? Donnie says his boy spontaneously said a complete sentence to convey his own thought. He had a birthday cake. He'd made a birthday cake with his mom, and he couldn't wait, and he went and cut it. And his mom went in and yelled at him about cutting the cake prematurely. And he said, I'm sorry, I cut the cake. And his dad was so overwhelmed with just that one simple sentence. So what he says is, from a dad of a child with a support system I can count on my thumbs, which isn't very big. I can't thank you enough. And that comes from Donnie in the USA. And so that's what's so amazing, again, about language facilitation. It shows you how to focus on now. Focus on today, what you can do every day, and have a good time in the whole process instead of wait for when is it going to happen? When's the words going to come? When is this behavior going to decrease? When is he going to listen to me better? When? And this dad decided, because he tried the strategies and he saw his son start to listen better and try to say new words and try to do new things. He probably never said a spontaneous sentence. And I don't even know how old he is, but he's old enough to help bake a cake with his mom. So that's how you know that when you commit, just like the other moms say, it takes time. You have to put in the every single day. And I always say it's 2 to 3 hours every day. If you do anything for 2 to 3 hours every day, it's amazing how you can get to the other side. You can get to the light at the end of the tunnel. Language facilitation is the light at the end of your tunnel. But the tunnel to get there, right, is full of all this worry and fear of the future and all that stuff. Just bypass all that stuff. Sprint through the tunnel, get to the light so you can start to teach your child a new way, right? When you hit in a new way to teach your child, then you'll see a different result. Because if you're frustrated now about the progress you're seeing, the only thing you can do to get a different result is take responsibility for where you are right now. Because I promise you have had a lot more to do with it than you realize. And that's what even Danny realized after she read the book, did the independent study, and then she joined to work with me because she was really stuck in habits that were causing her child to be stuck at the level of nonverbal communication. He was increasing his nonverbal communication, and it was getting more, the tantrums were getting bigger, and the anger and frustration were getting louder, and the sneakiness was getting more creative and crafty, and he was getting in more trouble and making more messes and doing bigger damage in their household to try to communicate this bigger frustration. And she turned it all around. In 2 weeks' time, she's broken habits that she had for a while. She's still got them going on, right? It's never easy to break habits in just 2 weeks. And that's why she knows that in my program, she's going to get the support she needs to continue to go on and do it all along. So, all right, so those are the success stories I have. Listen, if you're watching this video and you have a success story with language facilitation, I would love to hear it. And I would love to share with other parents, and I think other parents would love to see it. So please, in the comments of this video, post your success story. How did language facilitation change your life? Because I know it is changing lives for parents all over the world. Otherwise, why would I still have 350 videos and counting with parents keep following for a whole year, right? I know it's helping for some reason. And share. Because the big mission, my whole mission, the reason I'm here talking to you today, and I'll be back on Thursday and every Monday and Thursday for ongoing as long as we need, right? Until more and more parents realize that language facilitation is the light at the end of your tunnel. It's the thing you need to get you going. But you have to take the responsibility to learn about it. You have to take the responsibility to take action every day. And you have to take the responsibility to adapt and change and give up the methods, the therapies, the environments, the foods, the whatever that's blocking your child's progress. You have to be willing to make that change, because when you are like these moms, the whole world opens up, because language facilitation is that good. And it's easy, it's happy, it's safe, and it's fun. So I'm looking forward to reading more comments from parents about how language facilitation changed your life. If you want to learn more, if you're one of the parents who's just watching this for the very first time, Welcome to the platform. You are in for a tsunami of information. The best place to start is at wavesofcommunication.com. Watch the 90-minute class that I have there. It explains how to use the resources on the platform with whatever budget you have financially. If you have no money, you can watch YouTube videos. If you have money to invest, I can hold your hand through the whole process. You can learn all about it at wavesofcommunication.com. But there's no reason, no excuse for you to give up your responsibility and your power to help change your child's life, because like I said, they're the way they are now. The communication is working the way it is right now because of you. Your child learns everything from you, especially communication. And if you look at them, they're a little mirror for what they're seeing in you. When you make a change in how you communicate with the world, especially with your child and around them, they will change and adapt to you. That's how this works. And it's easier than you think, and you can do it. Every parent can do it, no matter how old, no matter how severe, no matter what anybody ever told you about your child. Parents in the world are proving it all over the world, and you can too. Thank you again for joining me, everybody. I really look forward to seeing you on my next video. Like this video, please share it with your friends and subscribe if you liked it, because like I said, coming back every week is one of those things that you can do to continue on your language facilitation journey. Happy New Year, everybody. We got a lot of work to do. I'll see you on my next video. Bye for now.